friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. How you all doing today, guys? Hope you're doing great today, and I hope you're generally fine. So today, guys, I want to show you how to make this very beautiful maxi gown with a collar. Yes, and I'm working with this crepe print. That's what I'm doing. So on the thumbnail, you could tell that that's a lace fabric. Okay, yes, but what I'm going to use for this one is this crepe fabric, and of course alongside my working tools. So just go ahead to the drafting table here so that we get started. All right, so I'm working with my pattern paper first. So this is just a very little piece, and the reason for this is so that I can achieve a perfect neckline cutout. Okay, and also the shoulder. So this is just a yoke length. Okay, yes, but first I have to indicate my 3 by 8 inches mark. So I have to mark my 8 inches first, then I'll come down by 1 inch for my slope. Then after that, then I'll indicate my 3 inches mark there. So I'll connect this together so that I can get my slope. Now from that point, now I'm going to of course indicate the length that I need. Like I said, this is just a yoke measurement, so I'm using a 9 inches for my yoke length there. So I'm going ahead to mark that out. Okay, so this is it. Now I'm going to extend the shoulder width. So the shoulder width, of course, is 16 divided by 2, and that is 8. So I'm just extending it to the chest line, just like you see me doing. You can see this now. All right, in order to get the armhole, so I'm going to take the measurement from the slope, but before that I'm indicating the neck measurement, the neckline. So I'm using a neck width of 3. Then I'm also using a neck depth of 0.5, and that's for the back neckline. While for the front, I'm going to make use of 3. Okay, so remember, this is a collar neckline here. So the depth for the back is 0.5, while for the depth for the front is 3 inches. So on that chest line now, I'm also going to indicate the bust circumference. Now the bust circumference I'm working with is 38 divided by 4, 9.5. Then I went ahead to add my extra seam allowance. Okay, so for me I did 3 inches, right? Yeah, so now I'll create my armhole. So just indicate the from the slope to the neck depth, just indicates the midpoint there, going by 0.5 inches, and of course indicates the armhole. So this is more like the front armhole. So right now you can see that what we're drafting here, we're actually not going to make use of this armhole. Like I said earlier on, this is just for us to get a perfect cut out for our neckline. But of course, as we go along, you understand what I mean. So you can see I've cut this out, cutting out the neck depth first for the back, then of course the shoulder. I'm not going to cut out the front yet. So this is what we have. So this is what we'll use later on. Now coming back to my fabric, now you can see, so I'm going to go ahead now and make my fold. But before that, we have to measure out the piece that we need. So working with the full length for me is 57. Okay, 57 is the full length of my gown, right? Then I'm going to add extra 3 inches. Now this 3 inches is inclusive of of the hemming allowance. Okay, so joining at the shoulder point there, and of course hemming. So you might say, why 3 inches? That's because of the fold I want to achieve on the lower part. Okay, yes. So, and if you look at what we have on the thumbnail there, it's quite wide. It's quite wide for the hemline, but as we go along, I will even explain that better. So I'm just going ahead to indicate my full length measurement. Remember, I said 57 plus 3 inches for the hemming allowance and joining, and that's 60. So I'm measuring it out now. So I'm going to measure 60 twice. Okay, and that's because I have to cut out for both front and the back, right? So I'm measuring my 60 twice. Now after my 60 inches, I will now measure extra about 10 to 15 inches. Yes, so there's a reason for this. So 10 to 15 inches, I'm adding it extra towards my measurement, and I'm going ahead to cut this out. So when I make my fold, I will tell you the reason why I added that extra 10 to 15 inches. So I actually did about 11 inches extra though. All right, so now you can see I'm folding my fabric now into two after cutting. Now it's time to fold it what in the triangular form, just like you see me doing now. Okay, after folding it into two equal parts, fold it in a triangular fold like this. Then you will now make the unfold part to face you, just like you see me do. You can see this, make the unfold part to face you, and you can see what we have here. So we have our entire fold ready for what? Drafting. All right, so you can see this. Now it's time for me to bring out that my pattern paper. All right, so that pattern, you can see what we have here now. All right, so I'm going to place it on it now. Now this is the reason why I added that extra 10 to 15 inches I was saying. You can see from the very top. So this is for us to what? Avoid shortages on our length. Okay, so because I know that this is going to what? Going to go off, so our length is going to start from where our pattern is sitting. So that's why I had to add that extra when of course we were trying to cut out. Now I'm positioning it in such a way that it is what? Resting what? On the unfold part. You can see. So this is the reason why I said I needed to use my pattern paper, because when it comes to triangular fold, there is tendency that you might have an alteration when you are trying to make a curve like your neckline. Okay, so it is important that you use of course, if you have a perfect, I mean that if you know that you won't have an issues, then good to go. But to be on a safe side, I like to cut out what with my pattern first like this before placing it what on my bias, because whether you like it or not, the bias fold, the triangular fold like this, is not the same thing as when you fold maybe in a straight form or even in a square form. I hope you understand. So now that I've done that, then I pinned it thoroughly, and of course go ahead to trace out all that I have. You can see I've tracing out what? The back neckline first, because that's what we cut out first, and of course this is what we have. So after removing it, then I now also trace out what? The front neck depth. I hope you can see. So the front and the back neck depth, you can see they are there now, and that's what we have. All right, so now it's time for us to now make our perfect what? Cutout. So from our shoulder width, you can see that shoulder width. The shoulder width, we're going to indicate what? The length of what? Your sleeve. Okay, now the ideal length of ideally your sleeve length starts from what? Your shoulder, right? All right, so the length of my sleeve is going to what? Start from that shoulder. So because it's going to be cut together here, so I have to indicate what I want. Totally depends on you. I want mine to be at 11 for my length of the sleeve. Okay, because that's where, which is going to be above the elbow. Okay, so I'm indicating that 11 inches from my shoulder there. You can see I'm marking that down. So if you want yours to go down, you can also do that as well. So from that point of my sleeve length, that's when I will now take note of what? My sleeve opening. Okay, so from the point of my sleeve length, I want my sleeve opening to be about 7 inches. So I marked 7 inches, then I added extra 1 inches. Okay, to make it 8 inches, because I'm going to be joining it on both sides. So I used 8 inches for my sleeve opening. You can see what I did. So I've indicated that opening there, you can see, and that's it. So it's time for us now to make our cuff. So from that point, you can just make it flow down to the end of your dress. Okay, now from the neck width, now I'm making a curve. Just watch what I'm doing. I'm making a curve from that neck width towards what? The sleeve length. So this automatically means that our initial shoulder is discarded, and you can see that armhole is also what? Discarded. We don't need it. So I'm taking my curve now from the neck width of that 3 inches. You can see I'm making the curve towards what? The neck depth. The sleeve depth, sorry, the sleeve length, please don't get me wrong. The neck width, I'm making a curve from the neck width towards what? The sleeve length, that sleeve length that we got from taking our 11 inches from the shoulder. I hope you understand. Why at that point where we have our sleeve opening, in between the sleeve opening, I'll just find the center point, then I'll go in by 0.5 inches, and I'll also make what? An inner curve. I just hope you can see the chalk marking, but when I'm cutting, you also see it. You can see I'm making an inner curve what at 0.5 inches on that sleeve opening. Please kindly watch it over again if you are finding it a bit confusing. I'm sure you get it right. Okay, yes, so that's it. So that is how our cutout is going to be. You can see the one I'm demonstrating with my finger. So if you're cutting for the back, and that's the way it goes. If you're cutting for the front neckline, you go through that curve and of course to the very end, and that will be it. That's it, guys. Now the next thing of course now will be to now indicate the full length of what this outfit. Remember where the shoulder is starting from. You can see that point there. That's the edge of the shoulder. So that's where you have to take what the length, the full length what of your gown. So I'm working with the very tip of this gown. Okay, that was not actually my full length, but I have to work with it for now. Okay, then I can always add my full length extra later on. You will see what I'm talking about. So now that I've indicated that end as my full length gown, I'll have to now place my tape at the edge of the triangle to get a perfect curve. I hope you understand. So you can see I'm placing my tape now at that triangle to get what my full length. You can see we're taking that very end as the full length of my gown. So whatever measurement you have there, then I have to keep moving my tape from the triangular surface, from that triangular edge. I'll keep moving my tape. You can see what I'm doing. Then I'll keep marking out what the curve. You can see. So this is what you keep doing till you get what to the very end. You can see. Yeah, so this tape is quite long. So if you're using the shorter tape, then you will have to also, of course, you know what to do. Yeah, so this is it, guys. So you can see now I am adding the extra. That extra I'm adding there now is my actual full length. So which means it didn't get to the end, which means I have to add some extra fabric to make up for my full length by the side. Okay, you have to add an, because this is a maxi gown, so there's tendency that you have to add an extra fabric. But for me, this is for me, right? I didn't add an extra because it's by the side. I just left it. So you will hardly notice because it's a maxi gown and it's by the side. You know, when we cut our regular tops or gown, there is a way that we'll always take off some cuff by the side just to remove that sharp edges. Okay, so that was exactly what happened here, right? So it wasn't that obvious, right? Yes, but if not, it's still optional. I could have still added extended that length by joining some fabric to complete the length, but I did not. So I need to take note of that. I hope you understand. Yes, so that's just it. So just go ahead now and cut out. You can see them cutting out for the back neckline first. You can see that. Then we'll now go ahead and cut for the front neckline later. So it's very important to notch where we have that sleeve opening. You can see I've notched that point, and yeah, that's it. So I can now take off the inner piece there. So that will be my back. Then I can now cut out what for the front neck depth. You can see what I'm doing now. All right. And guys, we are done. We are done with the cutting, and that's it. So you can see what the front looks like. You can see this. You can see the sides there. Very important, that notch, the sleeve opening point there, it has to be. Please don't make the mistake, always notch it there. Then this is for the back. You can see, so the back, there's also has to be a slit at the back, because of course it should be able to pass through the head, and you know it's going to have a collar. So I have to fix a slit. So I did a slit of about 6 to 7 inches there for the back there. Just slitted it, just a straight slit to 6 or 7 inches. Then you go ahead and slit it open. That's all I did there. Okay, so that it will enable the cloth to pass through the head, and which means for when you're fixing the collar, then has to be a tiny loop to attach whether a button, yeah, on it. Okay, so you can see what this looks like. So this is the back view, and of course the notch for the sleeve opening is also there. So the next thing now will be to join. Just place it right side to right side and you go ahead what and join. So I'm using my pin to hold it down for the moment. So the way I'm pinning it is the way I'm going to sew. So you can see I'm pinning it down. It's going to end at what where you have the first notch. That's for the sleeve opening. You do the same thing for the other side. Once you sew to that first notch, then you go ahead and hem the sleeve opening. You can see the way I'm folding it. Just fold twice and hem. Okay, once you hem the sleeve opening, then you continue sewing from the other edge of the opening to down to the end of the dress. But if you want to sew, you can actually sew the entire piece, then later you now hem the sleeve opening, whichever one works for you. Okay, yes, we just sewed from there to that first notch, hem the sleeve opening, then continue sewing to the end of the dress, and that was it. Okay, that was it for the side. And yeah, then for the end you can just make your hem and you're totally good. But in order to achieve what we have like on the thumbnail, you can see there's a structure at the edge of the hemming, right? So I believe a crinoline was used, and it totally depends on what you want. Crinoline comes in different sizes, just like I'm showing here, different widths. You can see some is bigger, some is smaller. So whether you are using the width, but from what I see on the thumbnail, is quite big. The folding is big, so which means you need a bigger crinoline like this one I'm holding now. Okay, yes, so that's just it. So but for me, I did not use a crinoline. I didn't use a crinoline. I used another option, which is what an interfacing, but I'm going to show you either way, right? Okay, so this paper I'm cutting out, this pattern paper now, is just for me to demonstrate how to sew whichever one you want to sew, whether a crinoline or an interfacing, if you want to achieve what you have on that thumbnail. You can see, like I said, the hemming on that thumbnail is quite wide. Okay, let's assuming it's like 3.5 to 4 inches. So which means, assuming the crinoline is this pattern paper now, which is this width, right? We are going to place the crinoline on the right side of the edge of your dress, just like you see me doing. You see the one pinning it to the edge on the right side, not on the wrong side. Okay, once you're done pinning it down round the right side, then you go ahead and fold it inside. Just watch what I'm doing now. After this is the crinoline, right? You are now folding it on the inside. You can see, then you go ahead and top stitch. So folding it inside, you can see, then you will now top stitch the way my finger is demonstrating. And that's how you do it round the entire circular edge of the hem. Okay, yes, if you are using a crinoline that's wide, whether you're using the one that is as big as this or the smaller one, but if so far you want to use a crinoline, that is how it will be. Okay, yeah. But if you are now using an interfacing, which is what I did, although not this wide, okay, to achieve that instead of a crinoline, the same thing, but this time around you are sewing it on the wrong side, because of course your interfacing has to be applied on the wrong side. Okay, you have to iron it on the wrong side, and you have to double it to get a good structure like the crinoline. You double the interfacing by ironing it down. You can see the way it is, but you have to iron it down and 0.5 inches away from the edge. Then you now sew. You can see this time around you have to double fold it to hide, of course, the interfacing before you sew. But it's very important, if you're going to use this method, you have to add your allowance to your full length of your fabric when you're cutting out. Very, very important. Whether you're cutting out with your interfacing or your crinoline, remember to add the full length of the measurement. Okay, and that's it. All right, now for my back neckline, that slit also, I have to use a bias tape to clean it up. I'll use a bias tape to clean that up. All right, yes, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'll be back to show you. Okay, so for my interfacing now, in order to apply it, because me, I didn't use that wide as it is on the thumbnail, right? So I had to cut out my interfacing. In order to achieve what will be able to go around the edge, you have to be cut in a bias form. So I had this piece of my interfacing, and the width I used here was about 3.5 inches. You can see I'm just cutting this in a curvy form. just cut out some pieces that I know, because the lower edge of this side is a maxi one, so the lower edge is quite wide. So if you're using a crinoline, you have to use a lot of crinoline, right? Yes, of course, totally depends on what you want. So I'm using this interfacing. So whether you cut it like this or you cut in a bias form, please, bias form, not in a straight form, because the edge is not straight. Okay, so it has to be in a bias form. So I'm just going to place it like this and iron it. Don't forget, I'm ironing it 0.5 inches away from the edge. You will see how it turns out later on. Okay, yeah. Now at this point, I'm done joining the sides. I've also hemmed the neck line for the back, that's the slit. I've also hemmed it. I used the bias tape to finish that. You can see the size. I've done that. Join the shoulder, the sleeve length, and this is the sleeve opening. You can see how beautiful this is looking already, all the way down to the end of the dress. It's all done. You can see this, and I've done the same thing on the other side as well. So the next thing, of course, now to do will be to also fix our collar. You can see the sides are ready, so the neckline is ready. So we'll just go ahead and fix the collar, but before that, of course, you have to measure around the collar. So we'll be measuring around the neckline. Rather, you measure around the neckline. You measure from one end of the back, that's the slit at the back, to the other end. You just go around the front neckline and come back to the other end. So what I had was 18 inches. That's what I worked with. Okay, 18 inches, and we'll come back to that. Okay, yes, we'll come back to that to fix the collar. Now for the lower part, so at this point I've already ironed my interfacing. You can already see how this it is, right? You can see that the edge is about 0.5 inches away from the edge, right? You can see this. So this is how it is. Okay, so like I said, if you want to achieve a firm structure like the crinoline, you have to double the interfacing. When you're ironing it, you have to double it. Okay, yes. And when you double it, you can see what I'm doing now. You now fold like this. You fold 0.5 inches, which is that 0.5 inches, then you now fold. This is it. You'll be able to, get the width of what you want. Okay, yes. So totally depends on what you want, but for me, I didn't get that wide width. Okay, so I had to fold it into two. Okay, so what I did was to make my tiny fold at the edge there, about 0.2545, then now folded it to the end of what my interface. You can see that's exactly the fold. At the end of the day, my hemming was about 1 inch. Okay, 1.51 inch. That's what I achieved. Okay, yes. Now for my collar, this is what I have for my collar. You can see I also had to attach a tiny loop by the side. So by the way, if you're not familiar with cutting out collar, I have several videos on this on my channel. Please can kindly go ahead and watch. This is a very simple process of cutting a collar. Okay, yes. So for the neckline, so that's what I did. I already have my collar done. All I need was just to get the center of the neckline for both the collar and of course for the dress as well. You can see I'm notching the center. Just bring the two necklines together and notch it. I'm using my chalking to also indicate that, so that it will be very visible for both the front and the back side, because we're going to be sewing either ways. Okay, we sew on both sides rather. Then for the collar, the same thing. I'll go ahead and also notch, bring it together and sew the center. Now we'll first sew from the wrong side, then we'll finish on the right side. So you can see I'm placing my collar. I have to open it. So I'm opening it now to sew on the wrong side. You can see, making sure that the center is aligning. The center of the collar is aligning to the center of the dress. You can see, just sew from the wrong side, then you go ahead and pin. Very important you do this. You sew from the center and you sew to the end of one part of the back, and of course you repeat the same thing on the other side. You can see, put the same thing on the other side. You can see this. So that's how I'm going to sew, and once this is done, then you're good to go. All you need to do is to now bring it to the front and now start top stitching. You can already see how this is looking after pinning it down. So once I'm done sewing, then I'll just go ahead and fold 0.5 inches. This time around, I will now be top stitching on the right side. Remember, I started sewing on the wrong side. Now we're going to finish it on the right side. and this is it. You can already see how it is looking, even though we have not sewn it yet. You can already see, and that is it, guys. That is it. So once you're done to stitching, the final thing now we'll do to just attach a button on one side. The loop is already there to fix it all up, and our outfit is ready. That is how this beautiful dress was made. Thank you so much, guys. And by the way, this was a subscriber's request. Yes, this was a subscriber's request. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today, and I hope you find this helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share with friends, share with your sewing communities. I'll really appreciate this a lot. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. And also, don't forget, my DTF printing online class is going. You'll see the flyer at the end of this video. In case you've not registered, please do where to do that, and of course, share this information with a lot of people that will find this helpful. DTF printing is a form of customization and branding. As a tailor, is already good for you to be able to brand some of your outfits. Even if you're not a tailor, whether you are doing a 9 to 5, you want to have it as a side hustle to add to what you're already doing, it's a very good one, and it's a very detailed class. You can see the flyers and information there, and that will give you a hint of what to expect. Very detailed. If you follow me, you will see that I'm already posting some content on it as well. See you guys on the next one. Bye.